we're going to turn this into this. Learn how to turn a $12.99 grocery store mixed bouquet into this high-style, high-end arrangement. When you buy a pre-mixed bouquet from the grocery store, what do you usually do with it? Most people just unpackage the flowers and plop it in a vase like this. Is that what you guys do? There's nothing wrong with that, except it's sort of tall and it's just not that interesting. It looks just like a mixed bouquet. So today I'm going to do my mixed bouquet challenge. I'm going to try to make a really high-end, high-style floral design from the grocery store mixed bouquet. Hi, welcome to another video. I usually shun mixed bouquets because often the color mix and the flower mix is just horrid. Now, I chose this bunch of $12.99 mixed bouquet from Trader Joe's because I thought the colors were not too bad. Color and design is super important to me, and it should be for you. I thought, well, I either should get like a more monochromatic mixed bouquet or something with analogous colors. Now, this is actually a nice mix of colors, sort of fall colors, and I think we can get a really beautiful arrangement out of this. So let's get started. First, let's remove this horrible vase, and let's use a really beautiful vessel instead. So I'm going to use this beautiful antique vessel. It is a very heavy, rusty cast iron vessel, and it's got some interesting like fruits and flower patterns on it. It's one of my favorite containers. Unfortunately, it's not watertight, so I have it lined with polyfoil, which I've used in other videos. I'll link that in the description below. It's a foil that's backed with plastic that florists use to wrap plants and gift flowers so that they're watertight. So I use that for lining odd-shaped vessels to make them watertight. What I have inside is half a piece of floral foam cut into different shapes to fit the size and shape of the vessel. First, let's see what we got for our $12.99 bouquet. So I'm going to separate out the flowers by type and separate the greenery out so we can see what we're going to work with. So I'm going to separate the greenery out first. This is a nice bunch of mixed bouquet because there's a lot of interesting greenery too. Now, I generally don't buy mixed bouquets because you never know what you're going to get, and I like to buy one type of flower at a time. But the nice thing about mixed bouquets is you can get a variety of flowers to do an arrangement, and it'll be a lot less expensive than if you bought these individually, because you're not going to be able to buy 2 stems of roses, right? So that's the charm of a mixed bouquet, is if you get the right mix, you get a variety of flowers for a lot less money. So this is actually a pretty good value for $12.99. Now there's a stem of dahlia that's shattering, so I'm just going to toss that. And the rose was not the best condition, but it's okay, it's passable. Okay, and I'm going to put these mums over here. The button mums and the little fall looking mums. I don't know all the different names of mums because I don't use them very often. Okay, so I'm going to put the mums all on one side here. We have a single stem of this green ball. I'm going to have to see if we're going to use this at all because I don't usually like to use only one of something in an arrangement. Here's another stem of mums. And then we've got some dahlias in burgundy in this orange, which is pretty nice. Some dahlia buds. I think the head fell off of this one. So definitely the quality of the flowers in this mixed bouquet is just okay. It's not great, but we'll make it work. Okay. They gave us quite a lot of flowers for our $12.99, which is nice. But this one is also shattering. Dahlias are not very long-lasting flowers. So we use them for event work, but I don't usually buy it for the home. And then we've got our 2 little pale green Dianthus and another dahlia that lost its head, and another stem of ruscus. Okay, so I'm going to supplement this arrangement from some cuttings in the garden, of course. My son started school this week, And I was at Costco and saw that they already have Halloween costumes and Halloween candy. So I'm thinking I'm not quite ready for fall, but maybe we do like kind of a harvest theme. And so I cut some grapes from my creek. I have wild grapes growing in the creek in different colors. It's really beautiful. I'm going to use that in our arrangement. And I also cut some beautiful grapevines to use as greenery, as well as this unknown greenery that's just growing. If any of you know what this is called, let me know. It's just a volunteer. I kind of love it because it has this beautiful shaped greenery that's sort of airy and light. So it makes a very beautiful, you know, kind of vegetative arrangement without it being super heavy. And so we're going to supplement this. I also have some leftover flowers from my last video. Remember when we did the small vases out in the garden? The Alstroemeria weren't quite blooming. Well, they're blooming now. So we may use some of that. So I'm cheating a little bit. It's a little bit more than just the $12.99 of flowers. But the point is to show you what you can create from grocery store mixed bouquets. Okay? So we're going to start by greening in. So I'm envisioning sort of cascading grapevines, cascading over this urn and doing kind of a horizontal display of foliage. Now, sometimes angles don't work, so I'm going to see this one might stick up too much, you know, like this. I wanted to kind of cascade down. I can massage a little bit, and I'm hoping to massage the grapevine a little bit without breaking it. Maybe that'll work. Let's see. I cut it a little shorter. So these grapevines are really beautiful because the foliage is sort of tightly clustered and small. What I've done is I cut some of the tips of the grapevines, and then I cut the grapes separately because the grapevines that have the grapes on them, the leaves are getting really large and starting to yellow a little bit. But we still have a lot of beautiful, you know, new growth grapevines here that we can use as greenery. So you don't have to use the leaves that come on the grapes. We're not that far from the Napa Valley wine region, so grapes do great in this area. Okay. And if there's any not so pretty foliage, just snip it off. Oh, there's a little cluster of grapes on this one. Kind of cute. These leaves are so big, I might just cut them off and use them individually. And remember I taught you how to use these large leaves individually to cover your foam and cover the edges, the transition between the foam and your container. That's what I'm doing right now. Just going to cut these larger grape leaves off like this. Okay. Then I'm going to start with some flowers. Now, I like these Burgundy Dahlias, so let's use some of these Burgundy Dahlias. Now, dahlias are sort of a directional, and I want this to be a two-sided arrangement, so I'm going to sort of add the dahlias on both sides of the arrangement. We have 3 stems of the Burgundy Dahlia. Okay. Just going to add it over here, and I realize we have 2 dots of Burgundy is going to look really strange. So I'm going to add the dahlia, the other Burgundy Dahlia here, and add the dahlia bud over there. Okay. Then I'm going to use some of our grapes before we run out of foam space. So I have some red grapes and some green grapes here, and they're still on the stem. And like I said, the foliage on with the grapes don't look so great, so I might remove the foliage and just keep the stems. You see how the foliage is kind of yellowing in here? Not looking so good. So I'm going to just cut that off. Oh, it's tangled with the grapes. See how pretty these little red grapes are? I thought it'd be so pretty with this container. And if the stem is not long enough, then you could wire it onto a pick. This one has a decent stem. I'm going to go ahead and just use the natural stem from the grapes. And maybe we'll use a cluster of the green grapes too. So I'm wiring the green grapes to the stem. Now the grapes will be fine out of water, right? Because when you buy a bunch of grapes, you don't have to keep them in water. So that's what I'm going to do. Do it on that side. And the green grapes are going to show up against our brown urn, which is nice. So it's all tangled. Should have separated them. And then there's a lot of yellow foliage here. Okay, this has a nice long stem. I'm just going to use that. Obviously, if you don't have grapes growing in your garden, you could just buy grapes. I would suggest just buying some artificial grapes because they're easier to work with and you don't have to worry about it, going bad in your arrangement. And you can use it over and over again as we're getting into Thanksgiving and Christmas season. Fruits and flowers can be really beautiful in holiday designs. I love using fruits and flowers, probably because I was an art history major and, love all those beautiful Flemish still life paintings. Okay. I'm cutting some of the foliage off because I want my urn to show up a little bit better. So I'm cutting some of the very large grape leaves off. Okay, so we've got the grapes added. I might add a little bit more, but for now, I think I'm going to stop. And then I'm going to add the orange dahlias. Got the orange dahlias added over here. Oh, this one is shattering too. Not the best quality flowers, unfortunately. Okay. Then we've got our peachy apricot roses. These are actually very pretty roses. Okay. Let's add some of these mums. I thought these mums are pretty nice. I'm not a big fan of these spray mums in general because they're kind of stiff and hard to use. And it's just not a flower I'm drawn to. But this one I thought was kind of pretty with a burgundy center, and it kind of picks up the burgundy dahlias a little bit. So I'll go ahead and add a stem of the mums. And this is also an exercise in trying to make a beautiful arrangement from just kind of mixed materials, right? Okay, so I added a sprig over here. Let's see, do I have another stem? Yeah, I have 2 more stems of this mum. I'm going to cut it a little shorter. Okay, then we have our little green carnations. Kind of neutral, it's not too bad. It's okay. Let's use it. Maybe I'll set it kind of deep in the foam. I'm gonna cut it kind of short, set it deep in the foam. Add one to this side here. And this dahlia is not great, but I might cut it really short, set it deep in the foam, and just use it. Okay, have that on that side. Okay, it's pretty much the end of our bouquet, except for these little white button mums. You know, before I add the button mums, I might go ahead and add our single stem of the green Dianthus. This is in the Carnation family. It's called Green Ball. Pretty cool looking material, give you that mossy texture. You can add it kind of in the middle so that you kind of view it from both sides. So it's mainly just, you know, to use that interesting texture. And then I'm going to add some of this variegated greenery that came with the bouquet. It's kind of pretty. I think it's a type of myrtle. I'm also learning to design with fewer flowers and do more of a vegetative look. I see it all over the place in magazines, and people are so good and so bold with using tons and tons of greenery, and I quite love it, but I don't know how to do it very well. I seem to always want to overfill my arrangements. So this is another reason I wanted this challenge, to see if I could work with fewer flowers. Okay, kind of pretty, right? See if I want to use some of these little white button mums. I guess a little white would be really pretty in here, be a pop of brightness. Okay. 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 We have 3 stems of these white mums, and I don't want it this tall, so I'll cut it a little shorter, but you don't want to waste this part here, so this can also be used. That would be another sprig. In fact, it's a little less dense, so I might add it as a taller sprig right here. And our last sprig of button mums here. Okay, I'm going to step back and assess the arrangement to see if I want to add anything to this arrangement. You know what? Let's add something from my garden. I cut just a couple of stems of white roses. I just feel like we need something. It looks a little stiff to me, so I want something that will soften the look of this arrangement a little bit. So let's use some of these white pure perfume roses on the edges here. Okay, I added a sprig over here. I'm a spray over here, the middle here. Oh, I think I broke the stem. Did I? Yeah, I did. So I'm gonna have to set it kind of deep in the foam. No worries. I added a little rose over here. Here's some rose buds. The rose itself is shattering. Just wanted something that looks very natural in here. I felt like the dahlias and the mums were kind of stiff looking, right? So I just add a little bit of that there. Trying to see if I like the look here. There's this really beautiful greenery that I cut. Let's see if we should use some of this to set an unusual vegetative line. I'm just experimenting. I'm not sure if we're going to use it or not. But this is really beautiful greenery. I don't want the two the same height, so I'm going to cut one off. So we added a dimension. So the arrangement looks much larger since we added these taller green, but it's still airy, right? What we added was airy, so then the flowers are clustered in the middle, but then the greenery kind of is airy and light. So it adds dimension, like size to the arrangement without making it too bulky. Do I need to add that piece there? I don't know. Maybe I'll add it to this side here. Okay. Let me see. How about the pretty seeded eucalyptus that came with our bouquet? We have a sprig of seeded eucalyptus. That might be very pretty. Add this sort of gray-green texture and color to our arrangement. Okay. And some of our leftover Alstroemeria. Let's pick a nice stem. You can just add a stem of Alstroemeria here. And a stem of Alstroemeria on this side. I think the white is nice because it gives you a lighter focal flower. You know what? I'm going to pull this dahlia up, add the white here, and then place this dahlia here so we can see it better, since we only have 3 of these burgundy dahlias. Go. And I think I'm going to go bold and add another tall line to the arrangement with the greenery. See, I'm just learning with you guys. I see these arrangements with lots of greenery, and I'm wanting to experiment with that. So you can experiment with me. So I see how we like it. There's no right or wrong, like I always say. Just kind of play around with different things and see how you like it. I kind of like that. It's different than what I usually make, right? Okay. Do we have enough grapes cascading down? Yeah, I think so. We've got the green cluster here and the red cluster here. So the arrangement's different from each side, but still beautiful, I think. And let me take a look, see if we need some more variegated greenery. Oh, I found another sprig of eucalyptus that we can add in. This is kind of interesting when I kind of don't know what I have because it's a pre-mixed bouquet, right? Usually when I'm doing arrangements, I've got all the ingredients kind of plotted out and I'm buying, you know, single bunches of all roses, all stock, all whatever. So this is a different way to arrange and it's kind of interesting. It really challenges you to use your creativity and really think about flower placement because you don't have, you know, a whole bucket full of peach roses. You've got two. Yeah, so interesting. I'm going to cut a little bit more of this variegated foliage to use on this side. This side or that side? Let me see. Maybe maybe I don't even need it at all. Maybe some here. Okay. Okay. I'm going to stop before I overfill it and it looks just like every other arrangement I do. Let's keep it kind of greenery forward, greenery focused arrangement. I think we're done. That's a pretty high style, high end looking arrangement using $12.99 of Trader Joe flowers. Plus, I cheated a little bit, added a little bit leftover Alstroemeria and some greenery and grapes from the garden. So we did it. We made a really, really high style arrangement using $12.99 of Trader Joe's flowers and a little bit of something from the garden. I really love this arrangement. I like all the greenery and all the interesting materials and because the colors are harmonious and go well together and goes well with this rusty cast iron container, the whole thing just kind of works, has sort of a harvest theme. And I hope that I've inspired you to look differently at the lowly mixed bouquet. And let me know in the comments below if you're going to try this next week. Go to your Trader Joe's or Safeway and see if there's a nice mixed bouquet that speaks to you. $12.99, take it home and play. As always, please like and subscribe, leave me a comment, and I will see you in my next video.